Just like you. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to our special meeting of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 4:05 p.m. And the Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. With that said, I will call for a roll call. Nicole, are you here?
I'm here.
Excellent. Has Liz joined us yet?
No.
No. Okay, so when she does, we will pause our meeting to make sure she's got contact with the interpreters. So Jackie, are you here?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here.
Excellent. Michelle, are you here?
Was that Michelle or Rochelle?
Rochelle is not joining us today, so Michelle.
Okay, so Michelle is
Yep.
present. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Kristen,
And Kristen is not here, Chair.
okay. I will make sure I take her off my list so I don't call on her again. All right, Councilor Diego Gammon,
Pleased to be here, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
thank you. Councilor Russell, are you here?
And I am here as well. Thank you.
Excellent. So we will move down to approval of the order of business. I would like a motion to approve the order of business, which I presume we've all seen and studied greatly. Yes, so please, I need
I
to
so move the order of business, Mr. Chair.
thank you, Jackie.
I'll second, Mr. Chair. Councilor Diego Gammon.
Councilor Diego Gammon, thank you very much. Call for the question.
Question.
All those in favor of approving the order of business, please
Aye.
signify aye or
Aye.
raise your hand. All right,
Aye.
all right, the order of business has been approved. Thank you very much. Okay. Do we have any conflicts of interest regarding anything we are going to discuss today? Hearing none, I will move down to the 2022 annual town hall. So we have received a memo that I believe was attached to an email sent by Annie. So we're going to be joined today by Tracy Jones Grant, Managing Director of Diversity and Inclusion, to provide an overview of the memo and a leader discussion on the town hall. So Tracy, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Accessibility Advisory Committee, for having me today. Hope everyone can hear me. I wanted to have a discussion today about the annual town hall. So in the terms of reference for this committee on item number 8, it talks about to host community consultations related to accessibility in the municipality, including an annual town hall meeting, and report to the Executive Standing Committee on the issues identified through such community consultations. And I guess why I really wanted to have this conversation is one related to the expense of the town hall from my perspective, but most importantly, the purpose of the town hall. Some of you have been around for a while, some of you are newer members. I myself have only been engaged with the Accessibility Advisory Committee since 2015. But I was starting to wonder to myself, and as I've attended different town hall meetings, I'm starting to wonder, what is the purpose of the town hall and why do we do it? If our purpose is just for the municipality to verbally report out to the community to say, rah, 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 what a great job we've done. Here's a list of business units and an update on what we've done. Or is our purpose to consult with the community to then advise where we're going as an accessibility advisory committee. And so I felt that we really needed to have this conversation before we move forward to looking at a town hall this year, or whether we do a consultation this year, or whatever it is that's the will of this committee. So I really desperately wanted to hear from the committee as to what they feel the town hall is, what it kind of means to them, and what we should be doing with it. As I said, some of you have been around for a variety of the town halls. Some of you may not have had the opportunity to attend any, and some maybe only a few. But I really think it's time, and this year in particular, because we had a COVID year, then we had our town hall in a hybrid or a virtual model. We're coming out of and living with COVID. So we're looking at hybrid or how we do it. But really for me, the question I pose to the advisory committee members is, why? What do you feel is the purpose of the town hall? Because in a sense, that can help guide us as staff to make it a reality. So, Mr. Chair, I know you do a roll call. So if you don't mind going through your roll call, I don't have a list of names in front of me. Perhaps we could start by doing it that way and then just maybe flow and pop through the conversations.
Well, thank you, Tracy. I do have a speakers list, so I will start with Councillor Diego Gammon. Do you have anything to add or address Tracy's discussion?
Well, it's an interesting thing to bring this up now, to think about what is the purpose of the annual town hall, who does it serve, and who is the audience, right? So those kinds of questions, I think it's timely to ask them. I've only attended one town hall, and it was just, the first year. But in my previous role as an advocate for persons with disabilities, I have attended them in the past. And in that role, the town hall was seen as a place where persons with disability could ask their questions of municipal government representatives in different business units. So it was a place to have their question heard. It was a place for the answer to be very public and therefore consistent. So people weren't getting different messages from different people. So on that end, I think that is the value for individuals. The general community at large, so there was a break between when I went as an advocate and then came as a counselor. And I think that the general community, I don't know that they see the value of the town hall in terms of any kind of higher level education to the municipality to say, what are we really doing around accessibility in HRM, in the built environment, and as an organization, as one of the largest employers, right? So I guess, Tracy, when I listen to you say, here's what we do, the rah stuff, I think sometimes I listen to it as, here's what we do, and wow, do we ever need to do better? And what is that path to doing better? What are we doing? And maybe the town hall has been less so about what is the action path of this committee. So if that could be added in, I think that's a tremendous value that can be brought to the town hall. And I'm taking up too much time, I'm sure. But the hybrid, I would like to know, I know that we had the report come up, but I would really like to know from the hybrid experience last year, did people find that valuable? What was the uptake on the persons who attended virtually? Did they find it a smooth experience to be able to ask their questions and to get their answers? I will say I never saw staff work so well, so patiently in that hybrid experience. it was staff intensive, and they were phenomenal. So my compliments to those that were there that tried to make it the best experience possible for everyone. So I do know that hybrid means more staff time, probably a bigger budget. So I'll listen to the rest very patiently, and maybe if I have the chance to add in a little bit more at the end, I'll come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Kirsty, do you want to have any response to the counselor's comments?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Counselor Russell, your turn to add your input and wisdom.
Thank you very much. So I have attended 2 town halls, one before the pandemic and before, I guess I was a counselor at that point, and the last one. At the last one, I didn't see a whole lot of people who weren't on this committee attending. And that would be one of the concerns. Is there, if the purpose is to reach out to this community, to those who require additional supports, who have disabilities, is there another way to do that, or is the town hall the best way to do that? I would just want to make sure that if it is going to happen, or in the manner that it happens, or in any other manner, is it reaching the right group of people? Is it reaching those people who have expressed the concerns, and do they feel comfortable bringing their concerns forward? I would look to the other half of it as well, as what happens after the town hall. Do we take their input and use it to shape or influence any of the policies or any of the activities within HRM? One of the things that I've been doing since I've been on this committee is noticing just how much has changed, how little has changed with respect to things like barricades on the sidewalks when construction is happening. With respect to those impediments that if you are disabled in some way, are we making enough of a difference with what we are talking about that it gets through to those of us who are working for HRM corporate or the HRM contractors when we're doing things like construction along the side of the road or whatever else that we might need to block off a sidewalk. How exactly does that work? I was in New York back in May, and there was a lot of construction happening in New York, and there were absolutely no problems with respect to access of the sidewalk, of blocking off the streets, of making sure that the pedestrians were accommodated there. And that is completely different than some of what I have been seeing here before I became a counselor and more recently. So I would look to both sides of that. Do we have the right people at the town hall? Do we have enough people at the town hall? Is there a better way to reach anybody who needs to be reached? And what is the material effect of the town hall and of all of the other measures? So, thank you.
Okay. Who's next on my magic list? Nicole, do you have anything to enter into our discussion?
I don't have much. I think I remember only attending one town hall, and that was before the pandemic. And I do remember I asked a question regarding accessible parking, and so like town halls are good if you have questions about, the city and what the city's doing and that sort of things. But I didn't go to the hybrid model town hall, so I don't know what that one was like. So I don't have much to add, but yeah, sorry.
Nicole, if I may,
Yeah.
when you asked your question, did you feel it was answered there, or were you told somebody would get back to you? Did you feel engaged, like you were getting
Well,
response?
when I asked the question, like, I asked the question if there was a place where I could go look to find accessible parking in the city. And I think that was the question. And they said that there was that map of all the accessible parking spaces in the city. But I already knew about that map, and it's not like updated. Often. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I was hoping for a different answer, I guess, like a better answer, but yeah.
So what would you look for from a town hall? If you were told, come on out to the HRM Accessibility Town Hall, is there anything that you particularly would like to see or hear or feel that should be done at a town hall?
I would have to think about that and get back to you if that's okay.
Sure.
I mean, it wasn't interactive until the end of the meeting when there was questions, that could be asked by the audience. It was mostly, people from different avenues, like sitting at the table and talking about what they do and stuff like that. So yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Thank you, Nicole. Michelle, do you have any comments on our town halls?
Well, I kind of echo what Paul said about, the streets of New York. I was in Ottawa last week, and, there were lots of construction and stuff going on there as well. And same thing. There weren't a lot of barriers impacted to sidewalks, but I think we've come a long way too. But one of the things that I notice here right now, I kind of off the topic of a town hall, but is the new scooters that are out and about. The scooters they have them in Ottawa as well. And you're not allowed to ride them on the sidewalk. You are not allowed to ride them on the sidewalk in Ottawa at all. It stops if you're on a sidewalk. And here, like, they're parked all over the sidewalks when you're done with them, and they're just left. And I don't really know where the thought process of those, absolutely have them for people, but make them have a designated spot to put them in. And I think it is on the person that has rented the scooter. Like, there was one day I was pulling into my parking spot and there was a scooter in my way. And another day I took a picture of one. I was going to send it to everybody on this committee. That was right at the end of the ramp, right outside my office window. And, I guess that's just an additional barrier that people with disabilities are going to face. But back to the whole town hall, like I completely understand where you're coming from, Tracy. Like, what is a town hall all about? Is it for people with disabilities to come in, for lack of better words, is it a bitch fest about the barriers and inaccessibleness of our city? Like, what actually happens at a town hall? Are there senior leadership there that are going to make a difference, that are going to listen to what is being brought up by people's lived experiences? And then is there something that's done with that? I think sometimes, because sometimes I used to get really excited about going to events where you get to go to a town hall and talk about issues that people with disabilities face every day. I deal with issues every single day, but when you go and you talk about it, what gets done, and when does that work happen?
Thank you for that, Michelle. If I may, I am a member of the Active Transit Committee as a representative of this committee. And I will bring your comments to our next meeting for that. So that, because we are undertaking a discussion of what exact role they should take, the scooters. So I'm going to echo your comments in that meeting.
I was just really so surprised to see those all over the city.
Yeah.
And they're just parked. And in Ottawa, it just seemed like a more systematic way of keeping that, like, I don't know. And it just blew my mind when I saw them, thinking, are you kidding me? Another barrier?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah.
So thank you for your comments.
Yeah, thank you.
Jackie, I believe you are next on my list.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, through you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple comments. Just to answer your questions, Tracy, I think it's the purpose of the town hall are for both things, for us to do the rah-rah, but also to get some feedback. However, having said that, I've been to a couple town hall meetings. I'm not sure either one happens totally. The last one, I left quite disappointed. And while I know that staff have put their guts basically into doing this town hall, there were city staff there that weren't part of the committee that couldn't answer questions. So to be fair, people are showing up cold and being asked questions that they may not be the person that should be there. So I think there's a whole variety of concerns with that. I do think that we can do this in a different way. I think the whole idea of the town hall meeting is kind of tired across many fronts. As Michelle mentioned, is it a bitch session? And I think it does turn into that. But even more so for me, I think it provides an opportunity, unfortunately, for inaccessibility. I'm thinking of rural areas. And it's really nice to go to the library, or where we went a couple of years ago. I was on about Dartmouth side, so we did Cold Harbor Place. I will tell you the experience I had way back with the launch of the Accessibility Act was we actually, and I know there's budget involved and time and all of this, but we actually went to the people. So, maybe it's time to have a look at how this is delivered. And it could be one or two people are attending other community partners. And I think that's what we forget about as well. At one point back a few years ago, I was involved with the Community Health Committee in the Musquodoboit Valley and Musquodoboit area. And to me, as I sat there, there were so many opportunities, not necessarily even partnership, but for a communication vehicle. These folks are people right from the communities. They know people in the communities. Maybe we need to connect with some of these other groups to get our message out. It's a different way of looking at it. It's outside the box. When I'm thinking about who may have attended the last town hall meeting from Sheet Harbor, probably nobody. And it would have meant if they wanted to do it virtually through the library, they would have had to come into Musquodoboit Harbor. That's still another transportation, another barrier. So I think we need to think a little differently. The last point, and I've mentioned this a little before, but somehow we need to embrace the fact that this is a committee for people with all kinds of disabilities. For those who are intellectually challenged, literature may be the barrier. Maybe the scooter isn't an issue at all for that person. So we somehow have to open up our minds and have a better understanding. Councillor Dago Gammon, I'm thinking of your background. I know you must know some people, and I know some people who should be on this committee, or at least apply, but they don't know about it. So I think we've got to get our basic message out. Number one, that we exist. Number two, what we're here for. And to be recruiting in areas that maybe we haven't before. With that, again, it's a different way to meet rather than a gathering in one place and all kinds of virtual stuff. Maybe we look at it a little differently. What the answer to that is, I don't know. I'll think on that one. I'll contemplate on that one. But they would be my comments. And again, I think one of the very important things is that staff, HRM staff, put a whole lot into those town halls. I know they did. I know I did a lot of the organization with the Accessibility Act and the public consultations and the work. It just goes on and on. So thank you to the staff. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jackie. Tracy, do you want to respond? Or are you? here?
I've had the pleasure of sitting on the committee with Jackie for some time, and I think we've whispered beside each other about how we have wanted to see some changes with some of this work. So Jackie, thank you very much for your thoughts. I have some ideas that I'd like to present to the group after I hear from everybody. So thank you.
We have reached our list end. Unless Liz has joined us. I don't believe so.
No, Chair, Liz has not joined us yet.
Okay. So Tracy, you can continue with your discussion if you wish.
So, and this is a conversation Liz would really, really love. So as I'm listening, I don't know whether I get more invigorated and excited or where I turn. I think I'm hearing, or what I'm going to try to pull this together is, it's important that this committee speaks to the community. But a town hall may not necessarily be the way we need to or want to speak with the community. I also think I'm hearing that it's a two-way street. We do need to talk about what we are doing as a municipality, but we also need to hear what the community's concerns or celebrations. We might hear from the community, by adding voice on transit buses, you've done an amazing service for us. So it's that two-way street of communications. And then importantly, I'm hearing what comes out of a town hall. Are the right people there who can answer the questions? Do we have action come out of that? And is it action that people actually know we're doing? Also, and again, to Jackie's last point, the Accessibility Advisory Committee has a much broader reach than sometimes we think about it. When Jackie, you talked about intellectual differences. When we talk, even my background is in library work, and I think about literacy. For some people, that is a significant disability. If I'm diagnosed as being dyslexic, that is a disability. When we talk about mental and physical, so there's so much and there's so many within the community that we're not reaching. So I get excited because I just really enjoyed hearing from all of you, your thoughts about this. So it kind of says to me, as a committee, you want to engage with our broader citizens. The question now is how, and does it have to be this town hall in November? One of the things that I was thinking about as I was listening to the conversations and the discussion just now was, we do something in our office that we call community circles. So we might do a community circle where we engage with a business unit and bring that one business unit into the community for a conversation. The business unit has the opportunity to share, this is what we're doing, and the community has the opportunity to ask questions specific to their needs. So as we were talking about construction as Councillor Russell was talking about construction and the impact of that. You know, maybe it's more of a conversation with the persons in the accessible community. Pardon my stumbling over correct language, but maybe it's a dedicated conversation on that particular issue. So that's one way to kind of look at it. Jack, you talked about when they did consultations on the Accessibility Act, where people went to community to have that consultation. Sometimes doing a whole bunch of little ones costs more than a bigger one.
I know.
But sometimes doing a whole bunch of little ones provides you with a lot more than one big one.
Yeah.
So in our terms of reference, it does say very clearly to host community consultations related to accessibility in the municipality. And an example of that in our terms of reference is to host an annual town hall. So we've held on to that annual town hall as if it's the only thing that we can do to engage community. Once a year, we host a town hall. That's the only time we want to hear from community. But maybe that's not what we want to be doing. And maybe we need to be thinking about the future as we build. For example, to me, if we did a town hall, it should build our work plan for the upcoming year. What we hear from community should dictate what we should be doing on this committee. So if we're hearing from the community, I'm just making this up, construction is an issue. The municipality has to address, doesn't matter whether it's in Sheet Harbor, Muscadabat, Ecum, downtown Halifax, or Dartmouth. For us, it's an issue. So if that's what we're hearing at a town hall, how are we building that into our upcoming year's work plan? Are we having those conversations with the different business units or however that would manifest itself? So if we do a town hall going into the future, we really should think about that as, yes, we need to share with the community the great work that this municipality is doing. But we also, when we hear from community, need to embed that in our action plan. And I don't think that's something we're currently doing. Pardon me. The final piece that I was thinking about is we normally have our town hall in November. We have the capability of pulling off a town hall. We can pull together the resources and do all of that work. And we too noticed that even with the hybrid, there wasn't that great of an attendance. And I don't think people genuinely felt engaged, or no matter, even if we worked with the library, people still felt disconnected, like it didn't belong to them. So we can pull something off this November. It may be rushed and it will still leave that big disconnect. Or we could, as a committee, kind of think about truly, what do we want to do? I'm a staff person. I advise the committee. I would never, ever have any authority to tell the committee what to do. So my role was to come to you today to get you thinking, why do we do the town hall? If we're happy with what we're doing, then let's do it. If we want to change it or adjust it or rethink it, then you have the right to do that. And if you want to do it in November, we can. If you want to put it off, we can. So all I've really done for you poor folks is throw up a bunch of questions so that I can encourage you to kind of have that conversation amongst yourselves. Ever since we've been virtual, we haven't really kind of had some kind of conversations about ourselves as an advisory committee. And this is one where we need to kind of think about, do we want to do a town hall this year, this November? Do we want to think about it some more? I toss that out to you, and it can go to your chair with a vote. It could go out in different ways. I didn't ask any of the staff, and I don't know if I'm allowed. Mr. Chair, we have some staff here. I didn't know if any of them wanted to provide some comment to this discussion. Is that allowable?
I'll go to Annie on that.
Okay.
How does this work?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, if you're comfortable as Chair with staff speaking to this today, that would be, as long as you're kind of like calling upon them and giving them the floor, then you're good to go.
Okay, then Tracy, you can address.
Sure.
that if you wish.
I see Darren. Darren, you've probably been at every town hall. Maybe, maybe not. Just curious, putting you on the spot, and I apologize if you had any thoughts.
Just trying to get my video started. There we go. Oh, really dark here today. Well, I agree with you on most cases. I mean, the sitting up at the front and just, doing the hurrah, hurrah, look what we've done doesn't seem to have done a lot for us. I think the more important stuff is let's find out what the people that are coming or even sending questions in, what they're looking for, what they need, and how we can improve our service. Because like you said, we're not building our work plan on this. We're just, we're going back, and if somebody asks a particular question, we'll go back and answer that at a later time. But beyond that, we're not incorporating that into our day-to-day changes of how we run our business. So yeah, I would be interested in seeing some different, getting from a personal point of view, getting tired of sitting in the front of the room and being in the spotlight.
Thanks, Darren. Pat? No? Melissa, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tracy. I kind of agree. I think I've not been involved a lot in terms of the town halls before. I've only been involved in a couple. And I think one of the other aspects is there is also a disconnect in terms of the level of government and what services HR provides compared to, say, municipal. So last year, I remember questions being asked around like healthcare and home care. So even I find sometimes with the community, they don't necessarily understand what municipalities kind of cover and scope. So that might be something that, whether it's another town hall or whether it's a community circle, maybe we start by, letting people know kind of what HR can provide, and then kind of opening up. Just my thoughts.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I just will open it up to sort of open the floor if anybody had any further thoughts, and then I think we need to kind of think about what we want to do in the immediate and then maybe look at the long term. So I don't know if anybody else had any more ideas, thoughts, or comments about a town hall or that type of thing.
Well, let's go back to our list.
Mr. Chair, you didn't get a chance to respond. I didn't get your feedback or thoughts on the town hall.
Well, I think you're right in that we're not reaching who we need to reach yet or at all. But I don't know how we can address that unless we take a measure of issues that we want to cover that are in an existing work plan, and then have these circles, if you will, with just the individuals, the BIUs that are interested, or not interested, involved in those specific issues. Like if it was facilities, it would just be on Darren's back or whatever. To find the person who could most accurately address that issue and bring them to like a, not one-on-one, but a smaller group that can just focus on that one person and not have to think about, well, I've got 5 people in front of me, but I've got 8 questions. Or I've only got 1 question, but it's for that division. So how can I do that and be heard? So smaller groups might be the way to go rather than one big one.
I just thought of one little glitch. Just came to my mind. Of course, I'd have to think of it. All committees of councils, like meetings are public. And this might be a question that eventually has to go to legal if we decide not to host the one town hall. If the committee wanted to consult with community, it might be a question that we have to confirm, because I don't know government legalities and stuff. If that is something, it's in the terms of reference, but I think just to confirm, if we wanted to do those more smaller consultations, of course, they'd be public and open to the public, et cetera, but just want to make sure that I'm interpreting that section of the administrative order correctly. But if we assume that I am, then that is an option, as you suggested, Mr. Chair, those smaller conversations. So I'm going to pose the first question. I don't want to keep you all night. Seems how I'm still in my office. So my first question to the committee, and I don't know, Mr. Chair, how you want to go about a decision, is do we move forward with a November town hall? It would be a very similar to what we had last year, a hybrid model. We would work with an external contractor to facilitate and provide all kinds of supports or whatever, but it would be, I'm assuming, I look at my notes here, pardon me, it would be a hybrid model. We'd have live streaming, we'd have interpretation and CART, pretty much a replica of last year's. So, lost my train of thought. That's what we could offer should we want to move forward this November. So my question to the committee, and Sherry, and Annie, I'd need real guidance from your office too, on a decision and from the chair on, do you want to move forward in November? I'm not sure how you make that decision.
Yes, I believe Annie is the guide for this part of the discussion, so we'll see if she can help us out.
Thank you, Chair. So ultimately, it's at the will of the committee, whether you'd like to, whether the committee would like to move forward with the date as it currently stands, or you'd like to postpone it. The majority of the decisions that have been made this year with respect to the date were not voted on. They were kind of, they were discussed and put forward, and like the dates that were initially put forward were November 16th and 17th. So that is what staff moved forward with in terms of just like finding a consensus within the committee. If the committee would like to make a motion to, officially have it on paper, welcome to do so. And I can certainly help with drafting that motion. But also if the committee is finding a consensus and the committee is comfortable with that, it's, I don't know, I think that, either way, it can be moved forward, depending on what the committee would like to do.
Okay. So we can, our committee, how do we want to approach this? Do we want to go in November, or do we want to, I may sit on these things and consider what Tracy has told us today?
Chair, and if I might, I think perhaps going through the speakers list again, just to make sure that everybody who is present has the opportunity to share their thoughts again.
Definitely. Thank you very much for that. Okay. So Councillor Deagle Gammon, you suggested you had some comments that are good for this time around. So
Yeah, to be honest, Mr. Chair, it was the conversation brought out some of the other items that I might have had on my list, which was great. In terms of do we go forward or not with November, I think the challenge is if we do go forward, can we change the format? Can it be the cafe style? Like if it is limited to the previous format, then probably November isn't the best idea. If the format can change for November, then that would be probably something that I would think we could consider.
okay, Councillor Russell.
Through you, Mr. Chair, may I attempt to answer Councillor
Absolutely.
Deagle Gammon's
Yeah.
question? I don't think we can change the format to make it more interactive between now and November. And I guess the other piece goes back to Jackie's comment is we might be able to make it interactive in a location, but would somebody in Sheet Harbor have the same experience? Somebody in Ecum, I don't know the municipality, have
And
the
I
same
think that's-
experience?
Yeah, I think that's a challenge that we're going to have no matter what we do.
Yes, yes.
And if there was a way, even a World Cafe format that almost getting like a transition from where we were in that traditional environment, maybe even doing a World Cafe. But to Jackie's point, absolutely make sure that whoever is there from the municipal unit, the business unit, is the person that knows how to answer the question. Because I agree with Jackie, that really was a poor experience for the people who had questions unanswered. So I agree with that. So even if we did like a World Cafe, it would be a transition year, learn a little bit from that so that the next year we can bring what is that community circle format that would work in various locations around HRM. So it's a curiosity.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Russell,
Thank you.
want to address us?
Yeah. We're talking about something that we would be hosting next month. And my feeling at this point is that next month should move ahead as previous years have moved ahead, because I don't think there's enough time to change it, determine what the new format should be, determine what the ramifications or the outreach or any of that should be for an event that would be happening next month, as well as do the advertising early enough so that people can have it in their schedule about whatever it is they need to do. We would need to be able to make sure that we reach as many people as possible. One of the challenges we have at council is we face sort of the same issue with trying to reach out to people and make sure we get to everybody. We used to be able to post an ad in whatever the local newspaper was. And at this point, we can't do that. There are so many other streams that people are paying attention to, and there's no way we could cover them all. So we are going to miss some people with advertising. There's no question. But I would feel at this point that if we did not hold the town hall in the format that we had specified, that we will just add confusion to the mix. If we're looking at changing the format of the town hall or the place or whatever, that should start far earlier in the year than just a month before the event. And then we would still have the opportunity to reach out or whatnot. Now, I'm also sure that we are not the only group who is working on disability rights or with that population that is looking to reach out to that population. And I'm wondering if there are other groups, or is there another format that we could reach out to others other than using the traditional or social media to? Are there, I don't know what would be available in order to make sure that the word is broadcast and is received by the right people, to make sure that they know about the town hall early enough.
So through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor, so you're saying, yes, we should go ahead in November?
Yes.
Because it's the date that we've set?
It's the date and the format, and we wouldn't have enough time to solidify plans for that, as well as get the advertising done early enough to say this is the new date and new format and new whatever.
We haven't done any promotions for this at all, which is why we were having this special meeting. So there's been no promotions. We've reached out to see if we could find somebody to help us with the logistical pieces of the event. But we haven't, even before this meeting or determining this meeting, I don't think any promotion or any discussion has gone out about the town hall, which is why I thought I'll have this conversation and then we'll make the decision.
Yep, and that's fair. But my point is, with the logistic work that you're looking at, we have a template of what we need. If we switch the type of event, then we don't have that template and we would have to build it. And then we would have to do the advertising. At this point, we can do the advertising and look for the logistics, and we know what the end game would be.
Thank you.
Okay, who is next on my wonderful list? I believe it is Nicole. You are next.
Hi, it's me. I'm just eating, so my camera's off. I don't have anything to add. Sorry.
So through you, Mr. Chair, to the member, do you think we should move forward with doing it in November? One of the things that I did forget to mention was this, we have until end of fiscal year to hold our town hall. So November was a time frame that we picked, but we do have till end of fiscal year, which is March 31st, to do anything to meet the requirements of the AO. But Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Would you be interested in seeing us move forward in November?
I mean, I have no problem with it. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but yeah, I don't know if I have enough knowledge to make an informed decision. But yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Michelle, do you have any thoughts on how we
Yeah,
proceed?
so I feel like I'd be going against Councillor Russell's words, but I do think that we should have a town hall, but I almost think that could it be pushed to January or February so that we could get ready and that we could make plans? Because like you said, if it's November, that is next month, that is a lot of work to put on a lot of people's plates. Also, I'm thinking of myself here, I'm having a hip replacement next week and I want to come and I don't know if I'll be able to come in November.
Mr. Chair, Liz has just joined us, so I'm just going to see if we can pause for one moment on discussions until Liz can confirm that she can see interpreters.
Certainly, certainly.
Yep, sorry, there was just a lot of sun, so I couldn't see for a second, but I can see the interpreter. Trying to hide from the sun right now. Anyway, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Should we just bring you up to speed, Liz, on what's been going on here today?
Yep.
Okay. Tracy, do you want to give the Cole's notes to Liz on what we've been discussing?
Hi, Liz, glad you could make it. I said this is a conversation you would definitely enjoy. I brought to the committee a question around what they feel the town hall. You see, folks, I talk off the top of my head, so I don't have notes. I wanted to know what people felt the purpose of the Accessibility Advisory Committee Town Hall was. And did we feel like it was doing what we wanted it to do? Or was it more that we had municipal staff sort of saying, here's all the great stuff we're doing, and sometimes we'd have community ask questions. And then to summarize some of what I've heard is that our ability to connect with the community is important. We're still figuring out the how and the why. And that what we hear from a town hall doesn't seem to be influencing the action plan of the committee. So that's another thought that we have. You know, who is the town hall for? Are senior leaders present that can actually make decisions or make the changes? And are we reaching all of our community? All kinds of people with different disabilities, intellectual, literary, mental, physical, all of the disability communities. Also thinking about, does our town hall reach both our urban, rural, suburban communities? So right now, I think that kind of summarizes it. Right now, we're going around the table to ask, do we want to still move forward with doing the town hall as is this November? So it would be the same as last year, that hybrid format where we would stream online, where we would have ASL and cards. It would be online, very similar to how we've always done it, where we have some municipal presentations, some questions from the floor. And I'm imagining we would still continue to partner with the local libraries so that we could host various locations throughout the municipality. So the question we were going through, we just finished with Michelle. Michelle, I don't think we finished, so we have to come back to you, is do you think we should still do the town hall in November? And I would like, Michelle, if you could finish, then I'd like to go back to you, Liz, and ask you your thoughts on a town hall. So I'll just get Michelle to finish her thoughts, and then I'll come back to you, Liz, if that's okay.
Liz is saying if you could just actually wait on me for a little bit, because until I get a lot better.
Okay. Michelle, so you were saying, you know, if we could have the town hall pushed to January, February, and the reasons why, and that you'd like to attend.
I would like to attend. If you have it in November, that's fine. I just have concerns with having it in November because it's October 4th. Right? Is it October 4th today?
Yes.
October 3rd, October 4th?
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, late November, like what is the date for what is the potential date for the town hall? Do we know? November 20th, is it, or something like?
Annie?
Hi there. So the date that the committee selected at a meeting earlier this year was November 16th or 17th. So those were the dates that we have been working towards thus far.
Okay. So that pretty much just gives us about 4 weeks, right? Or 5, give or take, right? So, you know, I just wonder if it's going to be too rushed to get things ready and plan to go and to get the word out there. Like if we were to postpone it until February or March, like we could at least get the, you know, get the word out before the holidays and, you know, plan. I just think it would provide a little bit more wiggle room for people. That's all. That's just my thoughts. But I mean, I'm game with anything. If you have it in November, I will gladly attend virtually. I can be on a panel if you like. But you know, and if you have it in February, I will gladly come in person. I'm ambivalent. I think it's important to have one, but I really think it's rushed for November.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, who's next on your list?
My list is now, we've gone through everyone. Jackie is next. Jackie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And of course, I have a little bit to say. I think we need to go ahead just because we are that close. However, I go back to the fact that we have many tools in the community. If we look at the rest of our work plan, it's talking about education. I don't think we need to harness ourselves into one time, once a year. This really should be something that's ongoing. And if we were to engage in the future with other organizations, I'm thinking Sheet Harbor and Councillor Dago-Gama with Gerald Hardy Society, which is an adult service center for individuals with intellectual disabilities generally, but I'm sure there's some other individuals there as well. Those are places, those are hubs that you're going to get individuals who have disabilities, who have some very interesting and important things to say. And I do think that even if in future, it doesn't need to really even have people, you need to have a contact if you have questions, but through brochures, through memos, through a yearly kind of contact with many organizations. I mentioned before the community health boards. They deal with organizations. You've got your Kiwanis, you've got your Rotary, you've got your youth coalition. There's so many tools out there that we could be using that we don't necessarily have to do it through a one-shot deal once a year and hope some people will get there. Again, as I said, I think we're a little bit too into it to kind of back out of November. I think the one thing when I'm thinking back to last year, it almost seemed as if there was more staff on the panel than there was in the audience. So I'm not sure we need that many people. Again, you may have situations that you have to take questions back and get answers back to people. But I just really think we got to find a different way of engaging people and empowering people to have opportunity to be involved and to have some opinions or comments included. Thank you.
Tracy, do you want to address Jackie's points?
No, just wanted to say thank you. I can come back to this at the end.
Okay. Liz, I believe you are next. Are you still considering what we have discussed?
Hi there. Sorry, just checking with the interpreter, making sure that we can see okay.
Okay.
Everything's good on this end. So I went to two town halls last year and the year before that. Excuse me. And there was 3 hours, worth of time listening to the panel. But I think we want to hear more from the audience. I think the audience piece was quite short. I think it would have been nice to have that more sort of interaction piece and less of the panel potentially. I think the committee members, I know that I would have liked to, as a committee member, heard more from the audience and from members of the disability community. Yeah, I think structure-wise. Also, I think it's important to have action as well, not just the talking, but the actual talking, taking the feedback, and then doing something with that. I think every year we do the same thing. We have the town hall, we collect the information, and then we don't do anything with that information. I feel like we're always having the same discussions over and over and over again. And I think this committee and other committees were always sort of, saying the same things, but nobody's really doing anything with that information. And I agree with Jackie Purcell. I agree with you. I think education is a really important piece. I think we need to be letting the public know what it is that we're doing, whether we send that out, whatever that format looks like, whether we have some sort of plan that we send to everyone and what our action plans are, or every so frequently we check in with the community or have some sort of agenda that we follow that people are actually able to follow along and see what we've completed, what we haven't completed, that sort of thing, so that we have some sort of check-in to hold us accountable, I think would be helpful in education department. And whether it be we have a plan in place, what the date is, for when we potentially would like to have that completed. And then if we have completed it by that date or not, I think would be helpful information for the community. But that would be all for me in regards to my feedback on town halls.
If I may, through you, Mr. Chair, to the member, Liz, would you be in agreement for us to go ahead this November?
Okay, good question. If we haven't been preparing up until this point and we only have a month left, that might be pretty tight. And if that's the case, I'd prefer to postpone it. Particularly where we have the hybrid piece in place, whether, with the Zoom and the in-person opportunities, it may be not enough time.
Okay. Thank you for that, Liz. Now, I believe we have, everybody has spoken at least twice. So. how
There's a
can we-
question from Counselor Daigle Gammon.
Okay, Counselor?
Thank you very much for the indulgence, Mr. Chair. So I can speak one more time. I guess I want to understand, Jackie, I know that you had said that you think that we need to go ahead, but we haven't advertised anything yet. So I guess I just want to, maybe you could help me understand the need. Like if we had said, we're going to look, stay tuned, we're going to look at a different format. And so we need some time to make it a better experience for people. Would that be helpful? Are people, I guess I don't have a really good sense that people are waiting for this to happen in November. So Tracy, maybe you or some of the staff might have that information. I don't know.
We haven't advertised, but just to sort of bring the committee up to date, we are prepared should you want to go forward in December. So Annie and Melissa have already been working to identify somebody who can help us make it happen.
You said December. Did you mean November?
November. My apologies.
I didn't mean to cut you off. It's Michelle. Sorry.
No, November. So we have the capability. It will.
Oh, just
unmute. There, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, so we have the capabilities of doing this in November. Annie and Melissa have already been working very hard based on back when the committee said we were going to do it in November. It's really me who wanted to put the brakes on things, not the team and not the staff. And the reason being is that this is the committee's town hall, but it ends up being the staff's town hall. We end up picking who sits on the committee, blah, 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 blah. I really want this committee to take ownership of the town hall. If there's going to be presentations, then to me, this committee should be saying, we would like a presentation from or on A, B, or C. But what happens is we do a call out, we check in with business units, above and beyond those who sit at the table, like Darren and Melissa and others who currently sit sort of as staff advisors. We do a call out to others who want to talk about what they've done in the area of accessibility. So really, it can be done. The one thing and the only thing I'll say is we can only do the one town hall. We could do nothing more this year. The cost for the town hall has gone up drastically since we started this before. So my office and the clerk's office, we're willing to cover the cost of the town hall for November. I think it's a conversation we'd like to have with you all after it's over. It's become, because we're doing it virtually and in person and all of that, it's become quite expensive to do, but that's not the committee's concern. We're more than willing to cover the costs should we want to go through with November. But I think moving forward, we really need to be clear on why we're doing the town hall, if we're going to do it different in 2023, what we hope to accomplish. And if we do this particular town hall, is anything from that going to influence upcoming work plans? I've attended many town halls, probably since I joined the organization in 2015. Some of them were more engaging than others. But for the most part, they've tended to be the municipality reporting to community. This is supposed to be the Accessibility Advisory Committee's town hall, to do with as you will, whether it's gathering information from the community or asking the municipality to make reports to the community. But it's your town hall, and we as the municipality have kind of taken it over so that we can be front and center. And it's not a bad thing. We are doing phenomenal work. And we love to talk about the great stuff we're doing. We also don't mind listening to the community to hear things where you're really not doing too good, because we do take that. I know many business units who've been at the town halls who've taken those pieces and turned them into serious action. So, but we're benefiting. Is the Accessibility Advisory Committee benefiting from the town hall? And so based on what I've heard, we want to move forward with November. It will be just a repeat in a sense of last year. What I would ask is for the committee members to actually attend, because this might be a good chance, if you're in attendance, to do a good evaluation of it, so that you can say, no, in future, we want it to look like this, or it's our town hall, we want it to look like that. So we're happy to move forward. And I think based on the majority that we've heard, we think we should move forward. So Michelle, I think you had, and Liz, you had concerns about last minute planning. The team's actually not stopped working, and I'm so appreciative of the work that Annie and Melissa do. And again, it's me who's saying to them, let me take this conversation to the advisory committee before I put my dollars on the table. So they're ready to roll. They're just amazing, the two of them together.
Agreed. If I may, I think if we want to do something well, we have to go and answer all these questions that you put forward, and to give them justice, we can't do that in 5 weeks. So I would say this year we go ahead as we have, and with the intention of listening to people this year and maybe suggesting in some way throughout the meeting that we are looking at changing the format next year, and what would you like us to do? And what would you like us to consider as we plan for next year's town hall or next year's communication event? So I think if we do that, then we get our marching plans, if you will, and then maybe next year we'll get more buy-in because people have said, well, we want this. And then when we give them that, they will feel more involved and consulted rather than have something thrown at them. So that would be my suggestion, that we move ahead this year and just learn from that, and then we'll have a better chance of doing something different next year.
I think we would be fine with that, and that would engage the community.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah. So,
I believe Michelle has a question, Mr. Chair.
okay, Michelle.
Yeah, poor Liz there. We're gonna have to get her some blinds. She's holding up an envelope there so that she, the sun, I think, is really in your eyes. Yeah, wow, check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty bright.
I was just gonna say, again, this is
And we
my,
have rain tomorrow, so the sun is nice today.
yes,
Yeah.
I think it's a little warm too, isn't it? It's nice. I just wanted to say that, this is my first time on this committee, so it's my first town hall, it's my first of everything. So, if I'm ignorant to knowing that, Melissa and Annie are in the background doing all kinds of work, like, my apologies, I just didn't know that that work has been ongoing. So, and if there's anything that I can do with regards to, being person discussing lived experiences, you know, I'm your girl.
Thank you.
So Annie, can we go on consensus for this, or do we need a formal vote?
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee, where there have been some differing opinions throughout the conversation today, I think that it might be best to get an accurate reflection of the committee's will through a motion.
Okay.
And I have two potential motions drafted here, kind of going in one direction or the other, or
Okay.
to either move forward with the annual town hall at the November 2022 date, or to postpone until the end of fiscal. So, you know, depending on who would be comfortable with moving the motion and the intent of the mover, I could provide either of those motions in the chat.
Okay, so we do have those options. Do we have a mover or request to see the motion? Guess is the best way to say it.
Mr. Chair, it's
Yeah.
Jackie. I
Yeah.
would so move that we proceed with the town hall meeting for November 2022.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm going to say, do we have a seconder for that? Calling for a seconder. Do we have one?
Well, I'll second so that we'll get the discussion going.
Thank you, Councilor Gammon. Appreciate it. Call for the question. All those in favor of continuing with the Accessibility Advisory Committee Annual Town Hall in December of 2022, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Did you get an accurate count of that, Amy?
Thank you, Chair. What I will ask is for if there is anybody to the contrary to verbalize that, please and thank
Okay.
you. And perhaps your name after the fact as well, so that we can make sure that's reflected in the vote for today.
Okay, so let's just do that again, shall we? All those in favor of continuing with the town hall in November, please raise your hand and state your name and say aye. Yeah, say aye, please.
Aye.
Jackie?
Yep.
That's me raising my hand.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
And this is Liz as well
Okay, thank you.
for now, but I think next year I'd definitely like to see something different.
Yeah. Okay. All those opposed? Wish to go ahead next year? Please say aye. Or raise your hand.
And if those to the contrary could please verbalize it, or that would be really helpful for my vote count.
Yeah. I'm not hearing any. So I believe the committee has now said that we move ahead with the November town hall. So there we are. Okay, that I believe is our agenda completed. So thank you everyone for your attention and comments throughout this discussion. And Tracy, I hope we've given you the feedback that you intended to get from this conversation.
Yes, we really appreciate coming to the committee, and I really look forward to meetings following the town hall where we can really think about what we'll do next and how we will do it and how we will engage our communities more in some of the work and the discussions. Councillor Daigle-Gammon, did you?
Well, thank you. I was just thinking, you know, sometimes it's really hard as a committee when you're thinking broadly around this kind of stuff. And even if on our next agenda item, we might consider, do we want to put a small subcommittee to do some of the real legwork to bring back to the full
Yes.
committee? You know, if there's a few of us, and I would volunteer, to be honest. But sometimes just a smaller group that could think through a lot of this stuff, maybe broadly bring something back to the full committee. But, you know, perhaps a bit of a draft in advance of a meeting that people could read and have an understanding. And then when we get to the decision-making part of the work, then a few have done the heavy lifting for all of us.
That would be very helpful in the upcoming years as we move this
Yep.
forward. I believe that,
And I think- sorry.
my
No, I was gonna say,
apologies.
I think that would bring it back into the ownership of the committee.
Yes. And in the interim, I believe Annie and Melissa will probably consult with the chair on presentations that will happen during the town hall. And
Yeah.
I'll be supporting Annie and Melissa as we move this forward fairly quickly.
Yes, yes. So Annie, can you put a discussion of a subcommittee for the 2023 town hall format on our agenda for the next meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
might have some more pressing questions about the 2022 one.
okay,
But absolutely, discussions to come about the format of the
2023,
2023.
But I might just throw that out as an aside for something to think about as we
Absolutely.
proceed with this year's. Yeah. All right, we have reached the end of our agenda, so I'd like to call for a mover to adjourn.
So moved.
All right,
Everyone.
thank you, Councilor. The committee has adjourned at 5:33 PM. Thank you all.